You are the rightful Lord Botley. Once I hold the Seastone chair, your father's lands shall be restored. If you like, it's naught to me. Asha Greyjoy and Tristifer Botley, A Feast for Crows, Chapter 11, The Kraken's Daughter. House Botley is one of the noble houses of the Iron Islands and are directly sworn to House Greyjoy of Pike. Their seat is the town of Lordsport, located on the island of Pike, on the opposite side of the island as the Greyjoy seat of Pike. Their blazon is a shoal of silver fish on pale green, and we currently do not know their house words. Given near on all of the houses in the Iron Islands, especially the ancient ones, all claim descent from the Grey King of legend, it is safe to guess that the Botleys, being among the ancient houses, also claim this descent. It also appears that House Botley have never held the title of king during the many eras of the Ironborn. With the records we have access to, no Botley was ever a Rock King, Salt King, Driftwood King, or Iron King. However, it must fairly be recalled that the records we have on this early period of Ironborn history are incomplete. Thus it is still possible, albeit unlikely, they could have been kings once during one of these undocumented times. But if they were, no legends or stories seem to have been passed down within the house about this time. The Botley seat of Lordsport is located near a wooded point with pine-clad bluffs. Contained a small modest castle. Lordsport itself provides safe anchor for those who wish to reach the Castle of Pike, the seat of House Greyjoy. There is a renowned inn owned by Otter Gimpney, located near the landing. The town is also known for its forges and metalworkers, who produce excellent swords, axes, ringmail, and plate that is desired across the Iron Islands and into the mainland of Westeros. The town also hosts one of the most prominent shipwrights of the Isles. During the reign of House Hoare as kings of the Iron Islands, ships from Lordsport began to trade at Lannisport, Old Town, and as far as the Free Cities in Essos. It is believed that in his youth, a young Corlys Velaryon, the Sea Snake, once sailed to Old Town, Lannisport, and Lordsport, as he made his wealth trading, helping set up the events that allowed for the Targaryen Civil War, known as the Dance of the Dragons. In the wake of that civil war, in 134 AC, House Lannister, led by Lady Joanna Lannister, launched an invasion of the Iron Islands during the power struggle that ensued at the murder of Dalton Greyjoy. Dalton and the Ironborn used the Targaryen Civil War to raid the western coast of Westeros and attacked Lannisport directly, carrying off many women and children and burning much of the Lannister fleet. In this bloody Lannister revenge, according to some sources, Lady Joanna donned a man's mail to lead the remaining Lannister host in a struggle to drive the Ironborn from their shores, which would eventually lead them to the Iron Islands themselves. During the Lannister invasion of the islands, the Lord Botley at the time was put to the sword by the Westermen. House Botley and the rest of the Ironborn were punished severely for their part in the attacks on House Lannister. When Roderick Greyjoy was taken and found captive, he was sent to Casterly Rock, as Joanna had him gelded and made her sons fall. When Balon Greyjoy started the Greyjoy Rebellion in 289 AC, House Botley supported their liege lords. During this time, the stronghold of the Botleys had been a great structure of timber and wattle, but when King Robert Baratheon put down the Greyjoy's rebellion, he razed the structure to the ground. A small square stone keep was built afterwards to replace it, with dreams of building something much grander in the future. In the wake of the rebellion, Tristifer Botley was sent away to be fostered with Alanis Harlaw, the wife of Lord Balon Greyjoy, as her two eldest sons had been killed in the war, and her only surviving son, Theon, taken hostage by Lord Eddard Stark. When Tristifer's more than close relationship with Asha Greyjoy was discovered, he was sent by Lord Balon to Blacktide. During the events of the War of Five Kings, Theon Greyjoy, who had been a hostage of Eddard Stark since the Greyjoy Rebellion, arrived at Lordsport from Seaguard as an envoy for Robb Stark, the king in the north. He makes note of the new keep of the Botleys, built to replace the one burned down in the rebellion. It was full of pale green flags, emblazoned with the shoal of silvery fish of House Botley, and he remembers that the last time he was in Lordsport, it was a smoking wasteland. In exchange for a horse, Theon takes Wex Pike, the bastard son of Sargon Botley, as his squire. When he enters the Great Hall of Pike, Theon does see some Botleys among his father, Balon Greyjoy's captains. Amaron Botley and his sons are part of Theon's crew on the Sea Bitch when they are sent by Balon to raid the western coast of the mainland, as a way for Theon to prove himself Ironborn. They take part in the Battle of the Stony Shore and quarrel afterwards over plunder. Theon later captures Winterfell with the Botleys as part of the attacking force. Rex Pike chooses to stay and fight alongside Theon when Sir Roderick Cassal's army of Northmen approach Winterfell. 2 other Botleys join Rex in staying by Theon. They in all probability are slain by House Bolton during the sack of Winterfell. After the sudden death of Lord Balon Greyjoy, Lord Swain Botley stands against his brother, Euron Greyjoy, as he tries to claim the Seastone chair, with Swain backing Theon Greyjoy as the rightful heir after Balon's death. Euron Crowseye has Swain drowned for that. German Botley pledges fealty to Euron and inherits his brother's lordship instead of his nephew Tristifer Botley, and retaining the part of the Botley lands that were not awarded to Lord Walden Winch for his support. Asha Greyjoy later spots the Silverfish of Botley among the banners of those gathered to support her on Harlaw. She is approached by her childhood crush Tristifer Botley, the lawful lord of Lordsport, after his father Swain's death. He says his uncle Germund had been named lord by Euron in return for his support, and that half the Botley lands were given over to House Winch, since they were the first to declare for Euron. Tristifer proposes marriage to Asha, but she refuses him. Victarion Greyjoy later sees the banners of House Botley and Old Wick before the Kingsmoot, as does Euron Greyjoy. During the Kingsmoot itself, Germund wears gilded breastplate he'd taken off a Lannister captain during Balon Greyjoy's rebellion. At the Kingsmoot, Germund shouts for Euron, and Tristifer shouts for Asha Greyjoy. Euron would later go on to win the Kingsmoot, becoming king of the Iron Islands, chosen over his niece Asha. Germund later participates in an Ironborn raid on the Shield Islands. He is spotted by Victarion in the hall of Lord Hewitt's castle, with a rope of pearls around his neck. Tristifer Botley had filled out since she'd last seen him, but he had the same unruly hair that she remembered, and eyes as large and as trusting as a seal's. Sweet eyes, truly. That was the trouble with poor Tristifer. He was too sweet for the Iron Islands. The thoughts of Asha Greyjoy, A Feast for Crows, Chapter 11. The Kraken's Daughter. After Euron is proclaimed King of the Isles and the North at the Kingsmoot, Tristifer sails on his longship to 10 Towers on Harlaw and then Deepwood Motte with 3 other ships of Asha Greyjoy's as she contemplates her next move. During this time, he grows a thick brown beard, wears furs, and rides a tall roan stallion. Asha later kisses Tristifer after he tells her the tale of Torgon the Latecomer. Yet, Tristifer proposes that the Ironborn, under Asha, abandon Westeros and try and make their fortune as traders, which is quickly rejected. When Northern Mountain clansmen approach Deepwood Motte, Asha abandons the castle and leads her Ironborn back towards the Bay of Ice. They are defeated in a fight by Deepwood Motte by Stannis Baratheon's men, however. Despite not being a warrior, Tristifer is said to have fought bravely in the battle. While Asha is taken by Stannis for his march on Winterfell, Tristifer and the other Ironborn survivors are imprisoned at Deepwood Motte. Asha's 4 longships are captured or burned by Alysanne Mormont. The Ironborn at Deepwood Motte are eventually ransomed from Lady Sybil Glover by Tycho Nestoris. They escort this envoy of the Iron Bank of Braavos to Stannis, whose army is encamped at a crofter's village. As of now, until the publication of the Winds of Winter, that is all we know of House Botley.